Hello, beautiful souls. And so I'm here. I'm back in front of the camera, just allowing this to be an opportunity to share whatever is to come forward today. And, it's kind of interesting jumping back into being in front of the camera because it is a little bit of a different energy than living your kind of day to day life. I've kind of felt the prompt, literally just kind of step back from just talking about the A Course in Miracles or salvation or my experiences or how I see the world, and instead to step into the literal application and experience of everything that I teach and share and talk about. And so because of that, what I have found is that a sequential number of lessons that have come forward for me that have really shown to me where I have been making my mistakes and my errors in perception. But the exciting good news is that all of those mistakes had come forward for me to accept correction in their place. And I know I shared snippets of these experiences through videos, but it in no way encapsulates the entirety of what is taking place here. And if I've learned more than anything over the last few months, it's how much the ego mind likes to judge the people that we see on Facebook or on YouTube or who have written a book who are in the world, and start to put them on a different level than we are in truth. And so there's always some way of de-equalizing that the ego goes through, this de-equalizing process. And I think that this was the key part that really kind of sparked me to start up this video camera today, was this idea of how easy it is for the ego to see us as not equal with those in our life, whether they be our immediate relationships of the people that we live with, whether they be the relationships of friends that we don't see very often, family members that we see or don't see very often, or even if it's just people on Facebook, other fellow, people around the world who've made YouTube videos, such as myself. We literally not only make an ego for ourselves, but we make an ego for every other person that we're with. And I think that this is where the reminder of that is, so that we don't just go along with what our ego is telling us about these people in our lives and our world, but instead to remember our purpose. And our purpose in all things is salvation. Salvation is synonymous with forgiveness. And I feel that what we're being taught through the A Course in Miracles, and hopefully through the application of them in our lives, which is what we all should be doing, that it comes to the point where forgiveness is seen as a literal correction of thinking. It is a literal correction of thinking. This is why when we recognize our mistakes, we are to accept correction for them instead of just using concepts or words or, even principles in the Course as being our own way of denying the need for correction. What I mean by that is it's easy to take a concept like I am perfect because I'm the Holy Son of God and use that as a means to not forgive. I am perfect. Therefore, what is there to forgive? Forgiveness is a dream. Salvation is a dream, so I don't need that anyway. This is like a cop-out of the ego to stop us short from reaching that correction. And what I've experienced over this last little while is how vigilant ego is for error of our brothers. And if we focus on that error, how shitty we feel. And the ego then likes to almost take that shittiness that we feel and just blame it, like throw it off onto somebody else and say, you're doing this, you need to change this, you need to do this differently. And it just causes this contention inside ourselves. And so I think the main point here is to recognize that there is some necessary action that needs to take place within all of our minds. And it will always show up where we need to correct and where we need to heal and what we need to forgive in our relationships. It always shows up in our relationships. So if we are unhappy with a particular relationship, if we are unsettled by a particular relationship, if we feel that we're extra overjoyed by a particular relationship, both of those need to be looked at. Because the ego is always getting something out of it. Either the ego is getting something that it thinks makes it feel better, or the ego is getting something that it thinks it makes it feel worse. It's going to go in one or the other extremes, but both of them are errors. what I've been reminded over these last few weeks and months is that we want to aim for that place of constancy. The consistency of the kingdom, it's spoken of in A Course in Miracles. The consistency of the kingdom. We want to reside in this constancy. So we're no longer having these waves of like up and down emotions, that we're not one day getting triggered or poked by a friend or a partner, and then the other day, having a really, great time, and you feel so high and you feel so, oh my God, life's so great. Life isn't meant to be a yo-yo. It's not meant to be a roller coaster. Life is meant to be a stable peace, stable happiness, stable bliss and purpose in creation, because that's how God created it. But this also then comes back to, who do I see myself as, and who do I see my brother as? Whether that brother be my mom in this world, whether that brother be my husband in this world, whether that brother be my child, a stranger, seeming, whatever labels we want to give people, terrorists, murderer, friggin' rapists, all these people. Inside all of them is the soul, is the light, is the life that God created. On top of that soul, that self, that light that God created is all of the thoughts and beliefs about themselves and about their world and about the people in their world that are not true. I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough, I'm less than, I'm greater than, I hate you. All this pile on shit. And so being in this world and realizing that this world needs help, and recognizing that I am currently in this world because I am here to help it, allows us an opportunity to receive that help for ourselves so that we can give it. Like, we can't give what we don't have. We can't give help unless we receive it. We can't give healing unless we receive it. And so this puts us back into the position of our one purpose. Our one purpose, forgiveness. Our one purpose is salvation. And so this allows every single relationship to be an opportunity to ask for forgiveness and receive it, so that we're no longer seeing them as these separate labels and names that we've given to all these characters in our life and our world. But all of that fades away, and it illuminates our mind, and it allows us to look upon who is actually there. And so once the junk falls away through forgiveness and correction, it's literally like the mind moves out of the errors and into the miracle. And once you're in the miracle, you're literally in the joy. You're in the kingdom. The kingdom is joy. And from being inside the kingdom, where joy is, you can give these miracles. You can give these gifts. You can give these creations. Believe you me, brother and sister souls, this is where my life is at. This is why I can no longer almost try and share through word, because it's almost like words stop at this point when you're just experiencing it and living in the kingdom. I feel like this is our stable day. But there will be moments where my life shows me where I have accepted a thought as not being true, which is a mistake. And then I am faced with an opportunity to correct that mistake. If I do not correct that mistake, I stay in that place of feeling either alone or sad or afraid or confused or doubt-filled. I will stay in that place if I don't receive the correction. But if I receive the correction, I come back to joy. If I receive the correction, I come back to peace. If I receive the correction, I come back to the remembrance that I am God's son. I am God's child, and so are you, because we are one. But this literally is far beyond just those words. It is far beyond just those ideas. And it is straight into the heart of it being our reality, capital R, for all eternity, because God is life, and life does not stop, does not end. Life is eternal. So when we receive these corrections, brother and sister souls, it literally carries us out of the mistake and into the miracle. And once we're in the miracle, we are the miracle workers that we're intended to be. And so this is our continual life over here at this time, where communication is at the foreground, where we communicate with our inner teacher and with each other. We allow forgiveness to be applied in our mind and in our relationships. And from there, we are restored back to what we are as a soul, and we can create here and bring gifts here to this world. And so I really want this for all of us, because it is only when we fulfill our function in God's plan that we're happy. And so we want to be happy consistently, and not just sometimes or with some people or, at some places and some events. This is supposed to be a state of mind that transfers to our whole life experience and relationships here. And so I have no idea if what I said makes sense. I have no idea if what I said is clear or not, but it is what came forward. So perhaps I just want to finish with this one sentence, or little paragraph here, because it is from chapter 9, called Salvation and God's Will. And I opened this up just before I turned on the camera, and I feel that it's kind of tying in what I'm saying here, because if we're ever asking ourselves, well, what is salvation? Well, how do I forgive? Well, we get to realize that salvation is in our relationships. It's in every single brother in our life. And because of that, that is an opportunity to forgive every single day and in every moment of our life. And so this will help us to keep our purpose in the foreground of our mind, so that we're no longer surprised when things happen the way that they happen, good or bad, but we can take both situations, the good and the bad, and allow them to be brought into our mind, where we receive correction and forgiveness, and then look upon the world differently, give to the world differently, and experience it differently here. This is what we're wanting, a happy dream, not just concepts in the dream of hell. So here's the paragraph. God's will is your salvation, right? God's will is your salvation. You have to let go of your will and accept God's will in order for you to be saved. God's will is your salvation. Would he not have given you the means to find it? If God's will is your salvation, don't you think he would have given you the means to find it? Like, come on now, it's too reasonable. Would he not have given you the means to find it? If he wills you to have it? Exactly. If he wills you to have it, he must have made it possible and very easy to obtain. Your brothers are everywhere. You do not have to seek far for salvation. Every minute and every second gives you a chance to save yourself. Do not lose these chances, not because they will not return, but because delay of joy is needless. God wills you perfect happiness now. It is possible that this is not also your will? And is it possible that this is not also the will of your brothers? Perfect. Consider then that in this joint will you are all united, and in this only, period. In this only are you united, meaning in this shared purpose of perfect happiness are we united. And the reason why we're united in this will of perfect happiness is because it's God's. God wills his son perfect happiness. He wills us to have this. So you better believe that the means to be happy will be given us simply, easily. This is why in the Course in Miracles, in the latest chapters, it's considered the simplicity of salvation, because it is simple. To the mind that uses reason, trust me, it's simple. But to the ego mind that is confused and cluttered, salvation is completely too abstract to even start to touch upon. But we are being reminded here in this paragraph that your brothers are everywhere. This is why salvation is easy to attain. You do not have to seek far for salvation, because they will show up in all of your relationships, because everyone is your brother. So this gives us, every minute and every second, it gives us a chance to save yourself. We are remembering here that forgiveness is first for you and then for your brothers, because they are one with you. But if you really realize that your purpose is to be happy, trust me, you want to forgive. You want to be wrong in how you see yourself and how you see your world if you're not happy. And if you're wrong in how you see yourself and how you see your world because you're not happy, that means there's another way of seeing it. That means there's a correction to your thinking. That means there's an answer that God has given you in place of how you are seeing it. And so let's all just rest here in this place of being grateful that God has given us the answer to every single problem here. And the answer is right next to the solution. The answer and the solution. One problem, one solution. And so let's realize today, brother and sister souls, that this problem is that of separation, thinking that my goal is separate from my brother's. But we've realized today that our goal is one, and that is perfect happiness. And so forgiveness is first for me, that I may receive and heal my mind and know the truth, that I may give this healed perception, this healing grace to my brothers and sisters who need this as much as I do. if not more, maybe. So let's be saviors today, that we may save and be saved. Saviors today so we can save and be saved. I love you, beautiful souls, and it always feels so good to come back and share, but I did just want to say that I'm living and breathing everything I teach, and everything that we're working on is being complete and ready to share very, very soon, and I look forward to continuing to do that. So keep posted with me. I love you all. Life is still going. Let's apply these miracles and principles, because it's in the application where we experience that they are true. Mwah. Bless you, and I love you.